Welcome back to another quick dive.
Wow.
Number 21. And
21.
if you're watching the live stream, there's only two of us.
Hello.
Throughout the episode, if you only hear two of us, it's because there's only two of us. Just to specify, there's only two of us.
Oh, no.
Narik Daskal couldn't be here with us.
Just the two of us. Our boy Narik Daskal is at...
I think we sang that last time. We sang that last time. No, when you weren't here, it was me and...
Can't stand you guys.
It was cool. Last time, I think we did the QD for Book of Boba Fett Part 2.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Something like that. But we're back. This time, we're talking about Marvel's new series, Moonknight.
Mooknight. Wow. Shout out Oscar Isaac.
Shout out Oscar Isaac. We'll only be touching on episodes 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next quick dive, we'll cover the rest with Narik. So we could get his thoughts too. But for now, we're going to get into Moonknight with Oscar Isaac. I didn't get the director, if you want to maybe look that up right now. But off top, Oscar Isaac, again, is pretty much killing this role.
Hey, man. His range.
And I'm surprised that he said yes to a show, because of his caliber, his name already, like his status.
Right.
But so far, I am enjoying it. Moonknight, if for those who don't know who Moonknight is an Egyptian avatar to the Egyptian god Khonshu, the moon god. So Moonknight is probably like one of the most random characters that I thought we'd get a show for. I honestly didn't know who Moonknight was until they announced the show. And I really didn't do too much, deep diving because I was like, well, when the show comes out, it'll all come out anyways. People on social media talking about the comic and all the beloved fans that have come out of the woodwork for this show.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just so weird that we just randomly got this character, especially because they're trying to introduce Egyptian gods.
So I think, and not to kind of like stray from like Moon Knight, but like the Thor trailer came out where we kind of see some gods. So the fact that we're getting other gods as well and things like that, like nothing is too far fetched now, especially with how Marvel's going. You know what I mean? Especially everything in play, and then of course Multiverse of Madness might be able to tie in some of that stuff, and it might not even touch base on it at all. But I guess even with the Eternals, all things are kind of coming together now. There's so many moving parts now, but it's cool that they're all going to be able to have their own like focal points, and then be able to all tie in together later on. Yeah,
which is very interesting because I guess Eternals was kind of the blueprint for the new phase of characters,
right?
I say blueprint because I guess with Moonknight, it seems like we're getting like Egyptian gods, more than just one. It's a plethora of Egyptian gods. And it reminds me a lot of Eternals, especially because I just seen it recently. And there's a lot of parallels to
Eternals.
Yeah, I just put it in the background. I honestly didn't watch it. I was like working on stuff, but it was pretty okay. I mean, it wasn't we've talked about it. If you want to go see our Eternals episode, we talk about it. But it wasn't the most spectacular movie, but it was nice. It was good enough.
It's only like a 30-something% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Not as bad as Morbius, but
Yeah, no, that's a terrible movie. But yeah, so Moonknight is played by Oscar Isaac, who plays multiple characters: Mark Spector, Stephen Grant. And then he also plays the Moon Knight, and then he also plays Mr. Knight. So that's like a total of 4 characters that Oscar Isaac is playing, and they all have different qualities of personality.
So what's cool, I guess the easiest way to kind of perceive it, it's one body, and then each personality has their own superhero, if you want to call it that. Mr. Knight being attached to Stephen, and Moon Knight being attached to Mark. I guess if you kind of just want to start from episode 1, we get introduced to Stephen Grant. Stephen is just
he's an English fellow.
He's an English fellow who works at a museum. He is it kind of starts off showing like his knowledge, and then you kind of get not necessarily let down, but you kind of see his status, I guess, more so in the world, showing that he's just running the gift shop at the museum. Kind of also symbolizing, again, he's not known too much by people. He's very
low key.
Very low key, but also very knowledgeable and very to himself. But we're introduced to Steven having a sleeping disorder. That's not necessarily a sleeping disorder. He just thinks it is. And that's because we get good old Mark Spector and Khonshu kind of using his body as a vessel, which we'll touch more base on that right now. But just to kind of give you Steven's backstory, he has his mom, which we kind of don't know who that is because he's leaving his personal messages the whole time. It's kind of interesting how they did that. But he has his whole separate life that only he knows about. But at the same time, he doesn't really know who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't know, which is interesting because I feel like, you know, going back to like where he's talking to his mom and we see postcards that his mom sent him supposedly, but some of the postcards on the wall are actually from the gift shop.
Right.
So it's like one of the personalities is sending Steven postcards to make Steven like kind of stay low key because I guess the personality was created so that way they can learn more about the Egyptian gods and kind of keep a low profile or not a low profile, but I guess have like a scapegoat, you know, kind of like, we just need a personality that's going to play dumb type of thing.
Right.
And the whole thing with the personalities is that it's going back to the sleeping disorder, it's a DID.
Dissociative identity disorder, right?
Yeah. So with this identity, you're not really creating multiple personalities. You're just splitting the personality you have.
Right.
But you can move certain qualities of your personality to other.
It's probably the equivalent to like Split. If you guys remember that movie Split with why am I
James
spacing on the name? With McAvoy, exactly. Where there's one body, one vessel with multiple personalities, but all these personalities also have different backstories, have different things they're allergic to, different things that they're good at, different traits, but it's all in one body, kind of showing how the mind works and stuff like that. So it's cool because it hasn't shown so much like the separation between his mind, but also the separation of him being controlled by a god. You know what I mean? Because it could easily be one or the other. But kind of getting introduced into Stephen Grant first, we finally get introduced at the end of episode 1. Do you kind of just want to touch base what episode 1 was kind of introducing to a Skywalker, or more so like the premise of the episode?
So episode 1 is just it just kind of shows Steven just living a regular life, and as a viewer, we know that this is supposed to be Moonknight, but the character himself doesn't know he's Moonknight, doesn't even know he has an Egyptian god living in his mind or possessing him to do these things. In this episode, I believe Steven ends up in some random village.
Right.
And he wakes up and he has like this Egyptian artifact.
Right.
And it's supposed to be like a compass.
It's a compass.
A tomb of Amit, which is another Egyptian god that wants to pretty much just destroy the world. And then Mark kind of, you can hear the Mark voice, who's an American voice, in his head trying to tell him like, give me the body, let me get control so I can take care of what's going on. And from there, we just get flashes in and out. We have no idea what's going on, which at first kind of bothered me because as a viewer, you know, we kind of want to see it all. And then the fact that we're not seeing any of it is kind of like, okay, what's going on? Like, I feel like you guys are playing with us.
Right.
But it gets it all unraveled.
Right. No, so it's cool. So jumping into like the comic book knowledge and pretty much the general premise of Moonknight, the body is actually belonging to Mark Spector. And from the point of view that we're getting in the show, they're making it seem as if it's Stephen Grant's body, and Mark Spector and Khonshu are more so the protagonists, I guess, if you want to call them that. Like they're trying to take over Stephen's body when really Stephen is the created personality.
Yeah. Yeah, because even Steven is like, no, this is my body. This is my life. Give me my body back. And Mark kind of lets him believe that. He doesn't tell him that he's the made up personality, which I feel like he will. But for now, he's just kind of like, I just need you to be in the background for now.
Play the role you're given.
And then when I summon you, you can do your thing. And then the end of the episode, I think we just get him back in his bed, and he just thinks it was all a dream. Steven wakes up in his bed, and he's like, "Oh, it was just a dream. None of it was real." And I believe, and then
that's beginning of episode 2. So end of episode 1, we finally get to see Mark talking, and the way they communicate with each other is through the mirror. He kind of looks in the mirror, and he can see the reflection of himself as that other personality, which I feel like is a general thing used in most movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is executed really well, even though it's not necessarily original.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's crazy. Like Oscar Isaac kind of has to act with himself majority of the time, like he has to record one version of the voice and then get it played back to him and then kind of talk to himself.
Right.
And then at the same time, kind of have to make it seem fluid, that's really hard. And then on top of that, supposedly there's a third identity that's being teased.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if it's a third identity yet. There is 3 identities technically that Mark Spector takes on, but until it's confirmed, I just believe it's just Khonshu kind of taking over the body at times, which is a possibility, but we won't see until episode 4. Supposedly episode 4 is gonna blow everybody's mind. That was what the directors, I believe, said.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, the show is not like mind blowing. It is a little bit of a mystery. You kind of want to unravel it and get to the plot before the show does. But as the episodes progress, there's things that are kind of hard to predict. It's like, oh, we didn't know that we were going to go to Egypt. We didn't know we were going to go inside the Pyramid of Giza. We didn't know there was going to be jackals. Like, it's just pretty insane. And then episode 2, I believe, is we get more of Mark, I think.
Yeah, so episode 2 begins with Steven waking up thinking it was all a bad dream. And then he then goes to work at the museum, and then realizing that these things are kind of really happening. And then he asks, I forget the security guard's name, but he goes to the security guard. What does he call him? He doesn't call him Steven. He calls him Stu.
Yeah, he keeps calling him the wrong name. And I think that's because he's told, like, he's spoken to that security guard with a different identity. And even the security guard doesn't even care. He's like, you always tell me a different name, probably. So whatever, your name is Stu or whatever, but it's really Steven with a V. Yeah. And then they look at the footage, and it shows that Steven is really the one who vandalized the museum. And which is weird because I feel like only Steven can see what was going on. And it was the jackal chasing him, but it doesn't show up on film, and even regular people just can't see it.
Right.
Which I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, that we haven't really gotten a definite answer. My own personal theory regarding it is more so because he has the power of the moon god. He's able to see these godly figures. It's the equivalent to, like, remember in Coco, how he's only able to see the spirit animals because, this is the way I kind of
it. Yeah. But so yeah, we get that, and then Arthur Harrow makes an appearance again,
played by the wonderful Ethan Hawke. He is again, we'll call him a protagonist, but he is more so the vessel for Amit, the other god. I forget what the Amit's the god of, but he's another god.
Yeah, I forget as well.
And and Arthur Harrow was also the original vessel used by Khonshu, until whatever happened. And I say that because it hasn't really been touched base on in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Other than Harrow saying that Khonshu manipulated him and used him for ungodly things.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I think even Khonshu was looking for the tomb of Amit. Not sure why. maybe to destroy it, maybe to, who knows? But it turns out Arthur Harrow ended up being the vessel after he left Khonshu, and now he's trying to look for Amit's tomb and trying to free her again to destroy the world. And pretty much Arthur's trying to get this artifact that Stephen has from him, the compass to find the tomb, and he kind of doesn't understand that Stephen has multiple personalities, because he told him when he first met him, like, my name is just Stephen, even though Arthur already knew who he was. He was Mark Spector. So when he goes to his workplace and stuff, he kind of does that balance thing with scales to determine if he's good or bad, and he can't determine it because he says that there's chaos in him, which could be Khonshu. And even Khonshu mentions that he has like a healing armor, so I think that's what it was, kind of protecting him from getting judged, which is cool. I mean, the healing armor, I figure he can heal easily if he gets hurt. I think we kind of saw that in episode 1 when he like had his jaw broken near that random village, and then it just kind of healed. So that was cool. And then we even saw it in, I think, the most recent episode 3,
where his body kind of puts itself back together. Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Also in episode 2, we get introduced to Layla. If you guys don't know who Layla is, that is actually Mark Spector's wife. She's kind of looking for him the whole time, as she kind of like specifies. But she is aware that he is the Moon Knight. She's aware of his powers. She's the one that requests him to summon the suit. But she really thinks that he's playing dumb, thinking that he's on a mission when talking to Steven. But also, while she's talking to Steven, this is where Steven becomes in awe of her. And kind of falls in love with her without really saying so. But obviously that's a part of the two of them kind of share different personality traits. One of them being the love for Layla.
I think that's what might have happened is Mark kind of just pushed that part of his personality to Steven. For what reason, I'm not sure. But they are in the show, they talk about that they're going through a divorce, but not yet. Because she even says, you gave me quite a scare. You got to remember that we're still married, type thing. So I was like, oh, interesting. And that even caught Steven by surprise. He's like, married to you? And then she's like, yeah, we're getting divorced. He's like, why would I divorce you? So I can see, from a character in the show looking at him, it's like, okay, like, I know who you are. Why are you acting like the total opposite of what I know you? So, we still don't even know why completely he got Stephen Grant. Like, he made Stephen Grant the identity, other than trying to learn Egyptian knowledge. It could have just been when Khonshu entered his body, his mind just broke. Kind of what Arthur said. He's like, do you think Khonshu chose you because your mind was easy to break, or because it was already broken? Which got Steven thinking like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm kind of already in like a weird place right now. So it could be, it could really be either or.
Yeah, and then they kind of fast forward through what the episode, rest of the episode kind of goes through. So at this point, Steven's in control of the body, right? And then while he's in his apartment with Layla, he gets arrested by 2 police officers, thinking he's just being arrested for what happened at the museum, when really they work for Arthur Harrow. And take Steven to wherever Harrow is staying. And it kind of just
really nice place. It's like a castle or something,
bro.
Or a church. How did
they have the money? Where did they get the money?
No idea.
And they have their own community basically, where they cook, they grow their own food. They're kind of separated from the rest of the world more so, and that's because they all believe in the same things, and that's in Amit. Praise Amit. And then from here, Arthur is kind of speaking to Steven, understanding what Steven's going through. Or is he? You know what I mean? Yeah. He's kind of, playing the fence to see what he can get out of Steven. But from here, while they're having their discussion and kind of showing him what Amit has given to them or what Amit's used for, he's basically trying to convince Steven to join his side more so, or give him the scarab. That's what it was. And then things kind of just turn left where Steven starts. Another jackal was released, right?
Yeah, because Layla shows up with Scarab,
right?
And they don't want to give it to Arthur, obviously. So I think that's when he summons the jackal, and then they're just running away from him. And Layla can't see the jackal,
right?
So she's just like, "What are you mad? Like, what are you scared of? Like, there's nothing there." And then it attacks him, and he falls out the window, and he summons the suit, but it's not the suit that we were expecting.
It's a Mr. Knight suit.
Yeah, it's Mr. Knight.
And this is Steven's version of what he thinks the suit is going to be like.
Yeah, because they keep telling him summon the suit, but to him a suit is like something nice,
super
dapper.
Proper, right?
He's like, I guess I'll summon the suit, and he summons like this. Yeah, pretty much just.
Not gonna lie, bro.
A regular suit is.
I might want to be Mooknight for Halloween because it's kind of fly.
Oh yeah, no, there's gonna be tons of Moonknights this year. There's gonna be a lot of characters, I think. But I think that'd be a really cool costume. The only hard thing would be the eyes. I don't know how you would pull that off, or you could just get contacts.
You can get all white contacts, super easy.
Yeah, all white contacts, which would just look weird as well.
And if there's one thing we learned from episode 2, everybody, is that you float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My name is Steven with a B. Exactly. Bro, I was dying.
It was so a very iconic scene.
It's so fire.
I mean, so far, Steven seems to be a fan favorite, because he's just so, what's the word?
He's just likable.
He's just innocent. He's just so innocent. He's just living vicariously, just doesn't know what's going on, just wants to go home, feed his fish, and not go to sleep because he thinks he has a sleeping disorder. But yeah, and then after that, I believe that was the end of episode 2, or he gets the scarab. He ends up getting the scarab, and then
so he takes the scarab and kills the jackal
with the actual.
Sorry. So he kills the jackal, but he loses the scarab to Arthur. And then at this point, this is where Khonshu starts being more vocal with Mark. In regards to, hey, you promised me that it wouldn't be an issue, meaning the personality they created was going to be, to me, the way I'm kind of viewing it is like they created an AI, and now the AI is taking over.
The Matrix.
Exactly. Super big glitch in the Matrix. But Khonshu is threatening to take Layla as his next avatar if Mark Spector doesn't stop Arthur Harrow. And that's kind of where we leave off for episode 2, and then we jump right into episode 3.
Pretty much,
Episode 3 is probably the most intricate episode we've gotten so far, because it's a lot of backstory, a lot of action, which is really, really
more
fire.
Action. Nice.
Way more action. In my opinion, probably the best episode we've gotten so far.
Yeah, but that's not even saying much.
No, it's not. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
we haven't even talked about how bad the CGI is, but we'll say
we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, pretty much in this episode, to kind of speed it along, where Mark is trying to find the Tomb of Ammit before Arthur does, and now it's kind of more difficult because they don't have the scarab. So now they have to do all these crazy different tasks to try to find it in a different way. They go to some guy's mansion because he has like a tomb with the coordinates on it, and hoping that they can get the coordinates off of it and beat Arthur to the tomb. Whole debacle happens. Pretty much we get like this joust scene where Moonknight like summons the suit, the actual suit, and starts fighting all these people with horses around and getting stabbed, and kind of going back to, I feel like he's healing himself, like that's the healing armor.
It's kind of fire with because I forget what the type of fighting style that is, but it's super fire seeing like the whole horses and kind of how they orchestrated that.
It has to do something with Egypt. It's like some type of Egypt history,
right?
It's something that they used to fight like that. I just saw a video on it, and I should have wrote it down. But yeah, we also get the more of a deeper relationship between Layla and Mark. And it kind of does seem like Mark is just trying to push her away. Not sure if it's because he really wants to protect her,
right,
or if he's just done with that part of his life. That's kind of hard to determine, especially with Steven holding the love for Layla, and Mark is just kind of like on a mission. I have a feeling it is to protect her.
Right.
Like the farther away he is from her, the harder Khonshu can get to her. But I feel like, if they both kind of work together, maybe Khonshu will be rid of him as long as they finish the tasks. But again, Arthur said, what did he say? That this is the last mission and that's it, and you'll be free. But we don't really know.
We don't really know that. We all know those famous words.
Yeah, we don't really know what to believe.
One last thing, Bucko.
One more thing.
Oh no. This is where Layla kind of steps in to help out, and they meet Anton Mogart, I think the name is.
Which is the guy who has the tomb.
But also, really quick, Anton Mogart was played by Gaspard Ulliel, who passed away not too long ago. So it's cool the way they paid tribute to him in this episode. So we always want to pay our respects, of course. But to kind of just keep it going, this is an acquaintance of Layla's who owns the sarcophagus. And I forget what's in the sarcophagus that they need other than the map.
They just need the map. I think they just need the map, the coordinates of the sky. And then they get the coordinates, but they can't even decipher it.
The reason they can't decipher it also is because obviously the moon and the stars aligned way differently.
Yeah, they drifted apart for over thousands of years. They just drifted apart. So when they do try to scan the coordinates or the constellation, it just doesn't appear. Which is probably the best part of the episode, or the whole series so far, is when Khonshu, so Khonshu can reverse the sky, which is really cool. So he's like, I can help you guys find the constellation, but when I do this, I will be imprisoned in stone by the Ennead, which is the other Egyptian gods, which will
basically the court of the gods, or is probably equivalent to like the UN or to like the Sokovia Accords,
or like the Eternals.
Exactly.
Egyptian gods, pretty much. So they reverse the sky, and pretty much everybody on Earth can see this, that the sky is just just being rewinded. And then it finally lands on what they need, and they get the coordinates, and that's when Khonshu gets imprisoned in stone. And that is the end of the episode, but not the end of this discussion. I do want to get a little bit into, before we cut away, into the Egyptian gods, and which is pretty much, they are called the Ennead. So these gods each have their own avatar, which was a little bit of a twist to me because I was only expecting just Khonshu.
Right.
And now we have, I think, a total of 6 or 7, something like that, minus Amit. And pretty much they hold their court inside the Pyramid of Giza. Also, pretty interesting because they've been talking about the Pyramid of Giza since the first episode, when the little girl put her gum on the Pyramid of Giza, and she's like, it's not like there's anything in there anyways. And then later on in the series, we get the Ennead doing their meeting there. So they hold a court for Arthur and pretty much just try to determine if what he's doing to summon Amit is good or bad. And pretty much just backfires on Khonshu, and it's kind of like a strike 2 for him. It's like, all right, strike 2. And then reversing the sky was like the strike 3. And my question to you is, do you believe that each of these avatars have their own suit? Like each Egyptian god can summon a suit or summon powers and fight alongside people like Moonknight.
Yeah, I want to say yeah. So wait, just to confirm, you're talking about them being able to like separate eventually?
No, like with their avatars.
Oh, okay.
Like with their vessels that they have.
Right. So as if like the vessel. Well, so from the vessel and the suit separating, or no? Am I like
No,
misinterpreting it?
Yeah, kind of like just like Mark and Khonshu, and how Mark can summon the suit. Do you think those other avatars have those abilities?
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Sorry, I was stuck on the multiple personalities.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they can. Which is kind of funny because my anticipation was like, why aren't these other avatars or other gods like more well-known actors if you won't be playing an important role? So I'm sure they can, but obviously these gods are in check. So it's not like they're necessarily giving their powers to run freely, like their avatars to run freely more so. Or if their avatars even know, like that's one thing I got from the episode too, is like, do these avatars even know that they're being controlled by a god? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel like Khonshu is the more, like, the one who can talk to Steven and Mark and be like, yeah, look, this is what's going on, while the other ones are just trying to just play low key and not really tell their avatar too much, because they do mention that they don't want to meddle with humans because humans don't want their help, supposedly. But Khonshu doesn't want to abandon humans because he says it himself, like, if Amit is summoned, we are going to lose humanity, and I'm not going to let that happen, type of thing.
Right.
While the gods, the Ennead, is more like, well, whatever happens, like, but they kind of don't even care if it doesn't even seem like they care if Amit gets summoned. I feel like they're kind of hoping she does, which is kind of like the hint that I was getting, because they do nothing about Arthur, and I feel like they would know, because if they're Egyptian gods, they know more than just what's going on the surface. I'm pretty sure spiritually or cosmically or whatever.
Yeah, they have to feel some type of force or some type of energy that's being shifted in what Arthur's doing.
And I just feel like they're just kind of like whatever about it.
It's kind of funny because they're making it seem like they're oblivious when, and it's funny. It's even funnier when Arthur Harrow is obviously just like a basic ass human, right? He's not in any like special form or anything, but he's over here like gaslighting and like pissing off Khonshu while Khonshu's in control of Mark. So I don't know. They could just be playing dumb, or they could really just be oblivious. It's kind of hard to tell right now.
Yeah.
But I think the only one that's really aware is the one that we met, the one that's a native.
Oh, the music
god. The
music god, I think, is where it was. I would love to see her like power musical notes.
I'm dead. Not musical notes. She pulls out a bass and starts slapping it.
She's gonna start like throwing 808s at people.
Oh no. She starts singing that Fiona song from Shrek.
Blow people's heads up.
Oh no.
And then one more thing before we do get going is I do want to talk about the very low quality CGI that this show has.
So bad, bro. From the first episode, of like the chase scene, like the car chase.
That's the worst
scene. Khonshu and
Khonshu, I feel like could have been rendered way better.
You know what this looks like, bro? Do you remember the episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog where he steals the slab?
Yeah, I think so.
Return the slab, or you'll be. That's what it looks like, bro. It's so bad.
I don't get what it is. I don't know if it's because it's a new character and they're like, let's see how it goes.
Right.
Or if it's because it's a Marvel show. It's because, even the other Marvel shows, like the CGI is, and especially in Hawkeye.
Right.
I feel like in WandaVision and Loki, that's the best.
That's where the budget was focused on.
Yeah. And obviously those characters are very well known.
I was talking to my boy McKay about this earlier. Shout out McKay, but I was like, bro, you're giving him way too much like too much credit. He said the reason he thinks the CGI is so bad is because it's hard for Mark to determine what's reality and what's not. And I was like, bro,
that's too much.
It looks trash.
It's the budget. I don't know if they're saving the budget for something bigger, which we might be, who knows?
Right.
There's so much that can happen from this point. I love that we're getting different locations like Egypt, London, I feel like we've been somewhere else too.
It's just nice being away from New York.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe some of the budget went to that too.
Them traveling in exotic locations.
Yeah. But other than that, I think we'll leave it on that note. Let us know.
Yeah, real quick, Skywalker. What's your anticipations for next episode? The next episode is called The Tomb, episode 4. That actually drops by the time this quick dive drops. That episode should already be out already. But what's your anticipation for the episode? So that way we can kind of jump back into it when we do our next quick dive regarding the show.
Yeah, I have a feeling, maybe not in the next episode, but I have a feeling we'll get more of the Egyptian gods kind of like summoning their suits or using their powers. Because if they're not on Arthur's side, they will be fighting with Khonshu after they release him from stone. But I know in this next episode, I saw a teaser poster and it has something to do with like a bingo card.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just a hint of something in the episode, because even the first episode, we got a fish. And even the fish was a little bit of a hint of something going on.
It means there's something fishy going on. Just to show you guys, if you guys can see that. I'm not sure if you guys can or not. But it's the bingo card from the episode. Because I was kind of looking at it. Bro, it was just funny because like people, the theories in the
yeah, they're way too crazy.
But I think the one I kind of like trust in where it's it's not just a meme. Volume 22 of Mooknight is when all three personalities kind of travel back in time to when they first meet Khonshu. So that's where I think it might go. But also, Marvel is known to create their own story, which I love. So it could really go anywhere.
Yeah, they've been bending the story, just
bending the multiverse, if you will,
just so it fits into the show a little bit better. But yeah, I have a lot more thoughts on the show, but I do want to finish the show completely before I release those to you. And yeah, I think we'll just end it there.
Who knows? Maybe we'll do a live quick dive and try to get some people to talk the show with us, because I know we want to get back to engaging with you guys a little bit more. Life just be busy sometimes, but these shows kind of like bring that side out of us. So we thank you guys for supporting us still and, enjoying these quick dives with us. We pretty much have almost over 100 episodes, damn near.
Yeah.
So, that's quick dives and regular episodes combined. So we appreciate you guys very much.
Yeah. Well, if you want to start a podcast, go to productiveculture.com/podcasts and hit them up. Tell them we sent you, and have a good night or a day.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Mooknight.